Good old Numatic Henry. From his iconic face to his equally as iconic durability, simplicity, serviceability, and suction power, what more can be said about Henry and all his compatriots that haven't already been said thousands of times before? Well, one of the most frequently said things about Henry is that he cannot run any sort of electric power nozzle. He is straight suction only and just doesn't have a way to run a powerhead. And that's true. Apart from some older versions, all Henrys made within the last 15 years or so don't have a way to run a powerhead. And you see this frequently talked about in the North American market where we have more plush carpeting than they do in Europe. Oh, how great would it be if Henry could be used with a powerhead, all that suction power and having a electrically driven nozzle for all our carpeting here. Well, what if I told you there actually is a way? And yes, what I just said is true. Modern Henrys, stock, from the factory, have no way to use an electric powerhead. But with a couple parts and some very easy modifications, Henry can be transformed into a carpet cleaning beast.
So first, a little bit of quick historical context. When the Henry line was originally introduced in the early 1980s, they actually offered a powerhead option from the factory. And the machines came with a power takeoff or PTO outlet on the rear that was used to power what was essentially a Numatic branded, German made Visselwerk EBK 290. And that was the standard powerhead option offered on Henry and some other pneumatic cleaners in the 1980s through the 1990s. Then in 1999, Numatic introduced the TurboCare range of cleaners. And that came standard with a now in-house Numatic designed and built powerhead, as well as an integrated electric hose and wand setup. This was a very interesting setup because it featured very unique, bespoke, square fittings with a large button lock. Now, the Numatic built powerhead, as well as the EBK 290 that came before it, both were quite simple and basic compared to powerheads offered on most other canister vacuums. They had very low wattage brush motors, no height adjustment, no headlight, and fairly small brush rolls that weren't particularly aggressive. The TurboCare line would be sold until Numatic discontinued it in 2014, marking the end of a factory powerhead option for the Henry range. So now you're probably thinking, okay, so what is this hose that I have then? Well, for that, we look to NaceCare of Canada, the North American distributor for Numatic products. This is a 7-foot Plastiflex made hose with a gas pump style 32mm or 1.25" handle end, the exact same as what you'd find on a modern central vacuum, minus the low voltage function, of course. And this was the basis of actually a couple different powerhead kits sold by NaceCare for Henry and other pneumatic cleaners, both canisters and backpack machines, starting in the 2000s from what I could gather. Information on this kit is a little bit scarce. These were sold as a dealer-installed option predominantly through Canadian dealers, but also offered by American dealers, typically janitorial cleaning supply shops. These electric kits were sold in a few different ways. One was packaged together with a machine. For instance, NaceCare sold a version of the Numatic Henry HHR 200 with this powerhead kit. It used this hose coupled with either a Visselwerk EBK 280 mini powerhead or an EBK 360 full-sized soft clean powerhead. Check out this cool archived Canadian vacuum shop listing of a powerhead equipped Henry from 2016. NaceCare also sold some commercial vacuums such as the NVH 380, NVQ 380, PSP 380, etc. with this electric kit, using the same hose, but this time paired with either a SIBO ET350/ETC powerhead or an ET1 powerhead. From what I can gather, this commercial setup seems to have been the main intent for this kit, and most vacuum enthusiasts that are aware of this electric kit, including myself, know of it from it being paired with the commercial machines. Outside of it being packaged with vacuums, this kit was also available as a standalone hose wand powerhead option that you could add later on, or just with the hose and wand, so you could use any other powerhead that you wanted that would fit. Now, unfortunately, this kit was discontinued sometime between 2019 and 2022, from what I can gather. However, some Canadian vacuum shops online still have stock of this hose, which is how I ended up with the one I have. Some of these hoses are sold with the necessary pieces like the hose end screw and the electric cable that plugs into the machine itself from the hose. Some, however, are missing those pieces, but those can still be purchased separately. I'll put links in the description to the various hoses that are still available, as well as the machine end screw and cable.
All right, so I've removed the top cover of my Henry, and it's just 4 T20 Torx screws holding it on. And you don't have to remove the other 3 that are holding the motor mount and shell together, just the 4 that allows you to take the top cover off. And once you do that, you remove the cover over the electrical parts. You have the switch here, and then you have your indicator light right here. And that's the key. So what you do is that you just remove this indicator light and its attached electrical connections, and you just swap this out for the outlet here.
Quick aside, I don't know for sure if these OEM Numatic PTO sockets are still available. A good friend of mine kept trying to order one from a couple different vacuum shops in Canada, and each time the order was canceled for being no longer available. But I still see them listed on some UK sites like Anderson Trade, so I'm not for sure what's going on with that. If these sockets are indeed no longer available, what you can use instead are these panel socket plugs that will fit right in the space and connect just the same as the OEM pneumatic sockets. These are readily available for very cheap on Amazon, or I imagine through any local electrical supply store.
This particular one, I had to trim the edges a little bit so it would fit because it's a little bit larger than the light, but basically all you do is just swap these 2 out. This is how it should look. It just fits in there stock, just like the light. And yeah, now we'll get it all back together and see how it works. All right, so now that we have the outlet installed, we'll attach the hose and plug it in. Hose screws on just like any other stock Henry hose. And then you take the plug and you just plug the 2 prongs in right in there. And that's it. Now you have a Henry that can run a Powerhead. So now the question is, which Powerhead can you use? And the answer is simply just about any that you want. And that, in my opinion, is probably the best thing about this setup. The old factory Henry Powerhead options were okay. I mean, they were something. They were better than the air-driven turbo heads, but ultimately, they weren't the greatest. But this, though, because it uses a regular gas pump style handle end that you find on most modern central vacuums, it gives you almost unlimited options for power heads, other types of floor nozzles, and really just attachments in general. So with this, you can combine all the wonderful benefits of Henry and similar pneumatic vacuums with some of the best power heads on the market currently. And right here you have what's pretty much the big 3 in terms of power head brands. You have Visselwerk. This is a EBK 340 from my Oric Dutch Tech canister vacuum. This is the only Visselwerk power head I have right now. Sebo ET1, and then a Lindhaus PB14E. The Sebo and the Lindhaus are some of my favorites in particular. But these aren't the only options either. That's the beauty of this. You can use just about any power head that you want. Riccar, Centec, hell, even the old Hoover nozzles if you really wanted to. Anything that has a 32 millimeter fitting or has an appropriate central vacuum wand. Like the Sebo, for instance, uses a 38 millimeter fitting, but they have a wand that goes to a 32 millimeter central vacuum end. Anything that is compatible with the fitment wise in terms of 32 millimeter or 1.25 inch can work. Any of these power heads that have the appropriate wand And even Pigtail, the EBK 340 I have, has a pigtail connection, but with the appropriate one, it allows you to use a direct connect handle with it. So with this, you get Henry and all his suction power, and durability, reliability, all that, but now combined with these excellent power nozzles that are durable and have great deep carpet cleaning ability. And of course, this versatility extends to hard floor cleaning as well. If you opt for either the Visselwerk or Lindhaus Powerhead options, the wands that come with those are 32mm or 1.25 inch, much like the standard Henry fittings. So that means the stock combo tool, for example, that fits like that into the stock wand setup, you can use that with one of these wands, no problem, and be able to use this without any issue and have all the benefits of this tool, including retaining the parking as well. And of course, that means you can also use the other Numatic floor tool, the allergy tool, I believe it's called. It's a Visselwerk RD285 gulper tool. And much like with the stock Henry wands, you can use any other 32mm hard floor tool, like the wonderful Lindhaus M28R. This is one of my favorite floor tools. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, on the market right now. This is the one from my Aria, as well as the newer, updated M29R. Now, if you opt for the SIBO Powerhead kit, the one that comes with that uses the bespoke 38mm SIBO fitting, so you unfortunately do not have access to these particular tools. But it does allow you to use the fantastic SIBO Deluxe Parquet tool and have all the advantages of that one as well. And because the handle end is 32mm, that means you can still use the stock onboard tools as well with no problem. And because the modifications to Henry are so minimal, he can easily be changed back to his stock hose and wand configuration if you so desire.